Hi everyone, it's Alex Harrington-Griffin, CEO of TrustedLand. I'm here with Colin Jennings of Sanderson Weatherall. We had an amazing session this week where we went through in detail some developments in receivership case studies. There was so much content, there was so much to share that we didn't get a chance to finish off one of the most important parts, which was the advice pieces for those who are looking at receiverships and developments in receiverships as well. So I'm going to hand over to Colin. He's going to quickly take us through some of the key points, the things that he would like to pass on to you as advice pieces, and then I'll come back and we'll sign off at the end in a few minutes. Colin, over to you.
Thanks, Alex, and apologies for overrunning the other day. So I'll go straight into what was the final slide, which is a few tips from buying from a receiver. To an extent, applies to buying from a administrator, but I think there is a subtle difference. I think one key point, which I think is sort of not really understood by the market, a receiver of property is not generally in a desperate hurry to realise the asset. He's far more concerned in making sure that he sells that asset to its best advantage, not necessarily best price, which I'll come on to, but that he has demonstrated that he has got the best price in the marketplace. That really is the first line, which I said, allow the receiver due time for process. The number of times that I've had people day 2 or 3 of the receivership coming along and saying, here's what I'm prepared to bid. It's on the table. I'll do the deal on Monday. Frankly, at that stage, I'm still building up the information that I need to sell the property to its proper advantage, and I'm not really interested in doing a deal on Monday. I'm more interested in doing a deal in 2 or 3 months' time when I've gone through the due process. So that really also covers off point 2. Don't pressurise on offers. A receiver will ask for offers. He will generally, and I think almost exclusively, treat those offers confidentially. He won't be using them to bid against one another or release them to other parties. He will treat them confidentially and then revert back to all parties as and when he feels it's appropriate. That will often result in a best bids process, just so that allows all the parties to bid on a consensual basis with a given time. Sometimes that will be on the basis that there's a legal pack available, not always. Tips in terms of making offers. Simple offers, lack of conditions are always preferred. It makes the decision-making process easier. A receiver will always ask you, and I think probably this applies to private clients, but perhaps even more so in a receivership, to demonstrate what your funding position is. If you're cash and can demonstrate cash in a bank account, that's going to be a big tick in the box. That comes on to the next point, really. The best offer may not be the highest offer. An offer which is at 95% of the highest offer that demonstrates cash will often outbid somebody who's looking for mortgage funding, because there's time, risks, etc., which are associated with the mortgage application process, and valuation comes back at a different figure. Everything's renegotiated in the usual way. Use solicitors that have already gone through, and have already gone through AML checks and are able to do AML checks with you and know you as a client. It just speeds the process up. this is commonplace now, but even more so in a receivership scenario. You've got to do a clear presentation in terms of your AML and present your credentials for AML at an early stage. The main point in choosing a solicitor, which is really the last point from my point of view, is understand somebody that a solicitor who understands an insolvency transaction. It's not like a normal transaction where you're buying from a purchaser who knows the property and is going to go through all the pre-contract inquiries, having known and lived or owned that property for a number of years. The receiver knows virtually nothing about the property prior to his appointment. So you're not going to get any pre-contract inquiries. You're just going to get replies saying, we know nothing. There's not going to be any title guarantees. You'll get whatever is at the land registry. And the key point from my point of view is receivers' liabilities will always be excluded from any contract. It's therefore, it's not an area which particularly sort of small firms and solicitors are necessarily comfortable with. If you go to firms that have an insolvency offering, they will be able to give comfort to the real estate people who are dealing with your transaction. So it's just that will speed up the process. And if you've got a solicitor who understands all those things, it makes life a lot easier. It allows you to deal with the transaction quicker, which is probably the final point, in that a receiver has got to keep that property on the market until such time as he exchanges contracts. If he gets a totally left field offer, he has to consider it. So the quicker you are to get a contract exchanged, the quicker that property comes off the market and you've got the property secured. And that's the speed aspect has got to be, funnily enough, post acceptance of offer rather than jumping in post appointment and trying to secure a property quickly at that stage. So I think that just quickly covers things off. If there's any points that arise from that, happy to speak to people after the event. But I think give me an email, give me a call. But I hope that gives people a few pointers.
Wonderful. Colin, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And obviously you can approach Colin directly through Sanderson Weatherall if they want to start building a relationship. Colin, thank you for sharing with us. Thank you for the advice. And I hope everyone pays strong attention to that if they're involved in the purchase of any of the properties with you as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex.